Day before when I was speaking to Harsha Bhogle in my chat-athon, uh, we explored the whole thing of sledging. Uh, did Sri Lanka ever use, I wouldn't use the word sledging, but this whole concept of mental frailties? Was there discussion around batsmen and their mental frailties and saying, let's work on the mental frailties of so-and-so batsman? Did that ever happen?
Yeah, but obviously not in a bad way, like using foul language. I think you could actually get into someone's skin by saying things. Say, for instance, like if someone's struggling against a bowler, like say Murali or Lasit, then we would, soon as he comes into bat, we'll bring that bowler on, even if he's not bowling, to remind him that your history is
Yeah.
pretty bad against him. And then the guys around the bat and all that will make sure that he gets reminded quite frequently.
Yes.
And the way he gets out and stuff like that. So it's just that if a batsman don't know how to shut himself down, then he will be under pressure. So
Yes.
it's a common thing that the guys will do that. The Australians would do the same thing with their fast bowlers, and when guys go to bat, and the slips would come across and say a few things. But like I said, it's all done in a very good spirit.
Of course.
As long as it doesn't spill out in a bad way, I think it's healthy for the game. I think that's why I love Test cricket, because it's far from being it's 5 days. That's the most testing thing for an individual to go through. As a bowler, the fatigue, the concentration, and a batsman, to make sure that they're mentally tough to handle, to bat for 5 sessions or 6 sessions, and to go through that whole thing, where people will say things, the bowlers attack, the different field settings, and to try and construct an innings, and that's where you really get tested.
Kumar Sangakkara and Sean Pollock, obviously that was something explosive happening there. I mean, from what I hear and understand from Kumar, that was a particularly bad tour in terms of the South African sledging and sledging and sledging. I mean, so did you have any experience like that? Obviously, we haven't seen you on camera, and I try to look really hard for you sledging, but I couldn't find any. So obviously, you were doing a great job of either not sledging or not letting anyone know you were. But any examples where you actually went after a batsman or some level of frustration got to you and you did something?
Not really. I have done my fair share of sledging. Obviously, if you couldn't find that, means I've done a good job.
Yep.
But I have had my issues. Obviously, we had one incident in Australia in a T20 game with Maxi was batting, and I tried to slow the game down, and he came at us. So that's what I wanted to get him to do, because to get him frustrated and shout at us, which worked for us. We won the match because he needed only 5 runs in the last 2 balls, where we could have easily won that, and he scored 3 boundaries in that last over. And I just wanted to slow the game down. I wasn't even captaining; Angelo was captaining, so I had to run from the boundary, stop things, and in that scenario, Lasith also came. So the plan was for Thisara to bowl straight Yorkers at him, because every time he went for a wide Yorker, he was getting hammered all over the place. So we set a field. We brought everyone from the offside in, and we set a straight field and told bowl straight Yorkers, because there's a long boundary, and if he clears that, then it's fine.
Yeah.
So he needed 4 of the last ball or 3 of the last ball, and Thisara bluffed, Maxi bluffed us, everybody. We didn't never plan that. He went and bowled another wide Yorker, and luckily Maxi didn't realize, he missed it as well. And you were thinking, what were you thinking, Thisara? I mean, like, we set a field. It wasn't a bluff. We were supposed to execute it, but he bluffed all of us.
Okay. Was it a bluff or was it inadvertent?
No, it was just he just lost it. Just the release point, whatever his explanation was that.
Yeah.
But Maxi got really upset that we slowed the game and all that. So we had an altercation during when we were shaking hands on the field, and then later on I went to his dressing room and he came out, because we played for the same team in Delhi before that.
Sure.
So we had a chat and said, it was everything was fine. But with Sang and Sean and that South African series was pretty much was a tough one, and
It crossed the line into
it did
abuse.
cross the line. It did cross the line purely because we realized that it was like a organized way of them doing it, even with the broadcaster and how they went about saying things. So the first test, we took a bad hit, like we were really down. We lost it in 3 days, and we had a meeting, and we sat down and said, you know, we cannot play like this. Skill, if you take the two teams, both were skillful, but we can, you know, match them.
Yeah.
But we are not. We're struggling against not the top 2-3 guys, but the younger group, and everyone was struggling a lot with the abuse that they were getting. So we've identified 5 guys in their team who was coming at us, and we had a plan, and we went after those 5 guys in the second test.
Wow, that's great.
And it was really bad.
Yes.
And one of them was Herschel Gibbs, Jack, a few other guys, top guys who were. And Herschel was actually in tears by the time he came to bat in the second innings, and he actually walked to, I think Marwan was the captain at that time, or Sanat, and he actually told Sanat to ask our boys to stop. It came to a point at that, and then after that test match series, I think the South African coach, who was Smithy, who was captain, he came and said, you know, guys, let's stop this, enough.
So what was the thing that was a rankling, Harshal?
No, I'm not going to say that.
Okay,
I
okay.
cannot say what we said.
Okay.
It's not nice. But if we wanted to give something back, we knew exactly
Yeah,
how
that's
to do
great.
it.
Yeah.
And I think the next series that the South Africans came to Sri Lanka, we were told that they told the players that whatever you do, just do not sledge or go after the Sri Lankans. Just do the normal whatever that you say and all that, but just don't wake them up, because I think they realize that, you know, if they cross the line, that we could do even far worse and actually get under their skin, and it never helped them in their cause. And I think a lot of the teams have realized that, like you mentioned, what Harsha said, like what the Australians did, but now the Australians have toned down as well. They've realized that there's a certain way they need to go about things, but
Yes.
but that generation of the Australians could do that, because they had the talent, the people to execute, basically walk the talk.
Yeah.
And they can do that. And so that's the fine line, whether you can handle if someone gives it back to you is something that everyone needs to realize before they actually open their mouth and say something.
No, this is amazing, because, you know, one of the things is, ever so often what Arjuna did for Murali is held as the yardstick for the Sri Lankan team standing together and giving it back. But from whatever you're telling me, there have been several other instances where the Sri Lankan team, beyond cricket, have stood together as a unit and planned and kind of
Yeah,
really
you
stood
need
up to oppositions.
Yeah, you have to plan, because you can't just go after an entire team. You need
Yes.
to pick and choose the guys you want to go after, because they get isolated when they come to bat,
Yes,
especially.
of course.
And that's
It's
when
11 of you and it's 2 of them.
Yes, and that's how you control those situations, and it's quite easy to do it if you really want to do it.